Although the inspiration of Thakur Bhakti Vinod and Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj was the basis of his endeavors to deliver the fallen soul, to crown his grand program with success, Sriman Mahaprabhu unhesitatingly sent numerous capable associates to help him with his divine campaign. One of the leading scholars amongst Srila Saraswati Thakur's capable assistants was Srimad Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj. This great soul's auspicious appearance day is on Krishna Shashti in the month of Phalgun, the very next day after Srila Gurudev's appearance day. Almost 68 years ago, Srimad Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj brightened the lineage of the ancient Acharya of devotional scriptures, Sandila Maharshi, and appeared in a noble family in the well-known town of Patra Sayer in the Bankura district of Bengal. During his childhood and youth, he showed great capacity for learning and earning money, and gradually devoted himself to the Lord's service. His service ideal astonished even ideal servitors. His loving devotion to Sri Krishna, his dedication to Sri Gaur Nityananda's marvelous pastimes, his self-manifest faith in the devotional teachings of the best of the Rupanugas, Srimad Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Saraswati Thakur, his joy in the sadhus' association, his mad endeavors to serve Sri Guru, his unconquerable conviction to serve, his lightning bolt-like firmness towards the wicked, his flower-like gentleness towards the good, his sincere behavior, his impeccable moral life, his melted-hearted compassion for the unfortunate, his natural courage, his eloquence in the assembly of sadhus. This great soul's unlimited qualities, having assembled within his divine character, are brightening and blessing this world, the field of his campaign. His loving devotion to Sri Krishna, his dedication to Sri Sri Gaur Nityananda's marvelous pastimes, his self-manifest faith in the teachings of the best of the Rupanugas, Srila Bhakti Vinod and Srila Saraswati Thakur, his joy in the sadhus' association, his mad endeavors to serve Sri Guru, his unconquerable conviction to serve, his lightning bolt-like firmness towards the wicked, his flower-like gentleness towards the good-natured, his sincere behavior, his impeccable moral life, his melted-hearted compassion for the unfortunate, his natural courage, his eloquence in the assembly of sadhus. This great soul's unlimited qualities, having assembled within his divine character, are brightening and blessing this world, the field of his campaign. Just before Srila Saraswati Thakur's disappearance, this great soul was nominated by Srila Saraswati Thakur to be an international preacher and traveled to the West. In a World Religions Assembly in London, he presented Sri Chaitanya Dev's religion of divine love and Sri Krishna Nam Sankirtan to the educated and aristocratic gentlemen. The Queen of England and various assembly leaders, high-standing government officials, middle-class government employees, ordinary citizens, the educated, the uneducated, women, men, the young, the old, teachers and students, everywhere, everyone, without discrimination, unhesitatingly tasted his powerful kirtan's flow of nectar. To show the souls of this world his true nature, Srila Saraswati Thakur gave him the name Sri Aprakrita Bhakti Saranga. The wise appreciate at heart his success and rejoice. Virtuous souls will understand his identity through the inimitable, supramundane language of Sri Guru Padma, personally used for him, when he was inspired to praise his disciples' qualities. About 5 years after Sri Guru Padma's disappearance, this great soul accepted Tridandi Sannyas and became known by the name Paribrajagacharya Srimad Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj. For 5 to 10 years now, as the founder and acharya of Sri Gaudiya Sangha, while traveling all over India endeavoring for the welfare of all souls, he has been shining like a bright star in the sky of the soul's fortune. For the benefit of the world, almost entirely by his own efforts, he has established 18 preaching centers and founded a monthly magazine, Saraswat Gaudiya, in the Bengali language. Recently, he made a grand arrangement to spread the message of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga within the educated society abroad by purchasing a 2-story building in the capital, Delhi, establishing a mott there, and founding a monthly magazine in the English language. Today we are worshipping the auspicious appearance day of Sri Guru Padma and the auspicious day of this great soul, wishing him a long, successful life. Tridandi Bhikshu, Sri Bhakti Rakha. What praise, what appreciation he had for his friend and godbrother. Right, he mentions 5 years after Srila Saraswati Thakur departed, he took sannyas, became an acharya and began to preach. Right, but what Srila Sridhar Maharaj doesn't mention is that he's the one who made him do that. Right, after Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj in the fall of 36 was sent to London to preach, 2 or 3 months later, Saraswati Thakur left. He continued there preaching for some time, but soon felt without the backing of Prabhupada, he could not go on there. And he returned to India. And he was one of the most influential people within the Gaudiya Math. But when he saw the conflict that was going on within the Math between the secretary and the manager and the editors of the magazine and so forth, he at first was heavy in there, making cases, telling this, like trying to make it right. But in time, it was clear that it was not possible to set things straight according to the truth. And after Srila Sridhar, I believe after Srila Sridhar Maharaj withdrew from the Math, he also withdrew afterwards. And some say that Srila Sridhar Maharaj's withdrawal was the most influential upon many of the other stalwarts coming out. But for whatever reasons, right after withdrawing, he married and entered household life and remained as such for 2, 3, 4 years. But then Srila Sridhar Maharaj came to him and said, no, you can't do this. Right? You're too qualified, you have too much capacity, you must continue the work of Prabhupada. If not in the Gaudiya Math, then outside of the Gaudiya Math you must do it. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj personally went to his house and pulled him out of his house and gave him sannyas and encouraged him. And with that encouragement and support, he began his mission and sat in the post of acharya. His mission was called the Gaudiya Sangha. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj did this before he himself started Chaitanya Saraswati and started accepting disciples. And at that time, this was maybe 40, 39, something like that. I don't know that. Here it says 5 years later, but maybe, anyway, it's hard to exactly calculate. But we were told that Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, close friend of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, they would stay together in Calcutta from time to time. And Srila Prabhupada's sister, her name was Bhavani Didi. She wanted to take initiation. And so Swami Maharaj directed her to Srila Sridhar Maharaj. But at that time Srila Sridhar Maharaj declined and sent her to Goswami Maharaj. And thereafter she became a disciple of Goswami Maharaj and served him very, very strongly. We heard Gurudev mention her service. But as Swami Maharaj had a very strong character, she also had a very strong character. And Goswami Maharaj's first month was in Calcutta. And she functioned more or less de facto as the manager of the temple in the early days. And Gurudev said, Akinchan Maharaj, some of the person who later became the charge of that mission, some of the other very early members of the Math, they know that really she was the manager in the beginning. And she would serve Goswami Maharaj with so much strength, right, that Gurudev, you know, in Bengali they have these different ways of address, to me and apni, right, like a formal and a more informal way, like they have in Spanish, right, like usted and tu or something like that, right? So generally the disciple will always, refer to their Gurudev in the respectful address, right? But her relationship with Goswami Maharaj was such that she would call him Tumi, right? Like Gurudev said, he saw with his own eyes him coming to visit, and she would come having cooked for Goswami Maharaj and say, and they're having some talk, and she would say, stop talking, Tumi cow, you eat now. She had that type of relationship with him. And right, Srila Sridhar Maharaj directed her to him. So there was all, close relations and affection and things were there. And Goswami Maharaj there started preaching in Calcutta, and soon he spread and established many centers throughout India. And he published books, some translations of scriptures. He had some expertise in philosophy, discussion of darshan and things like this. And there's one book in Gurudev's library of a Vedanta darshan with the Baladev Vidibhushan commentary. And Goswami Maharaj writes in the beginning of the book some note, this is for Gorendu, you read this and study. And there's a book that Goswami Maharaj personally gave him. So he had expertise in philosophy as well as, general principles, scriptural background, Puranic history and so forth. And within the Gaudiya society, he was very influential. During the time of Saraswati Thakur, he was the editor of their main magazine and organized many, many events and preached all throughout India and traveled with Srila Prabhupada on many occasions to many prestigious events. And it was when Srila Saraswati Thakur asked Srila Sridhar Maharaj to go to preach in the West, he deferred to Goswami Maharaj. He said, no, he'll be better than me. Right? He can speak English well, he can understand their accent better than me, and he has that type of charismatic leadership and courageous nature. He'll be better than me for that seva. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj declines going to the West, defers to Goswami Maharaj. Then a little while later, Goswami Maharaj comes back, enters house of Srila Sridhar. No, again you preach. You become a charja, you go. And Srila Sridhar makes him a charja again, encourages him for preaching. And every year, on this day, Srila Guru Maharaj would go to Calcutta to the festival for Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj. He would go every year on this day to celebrate that festival. And Goswami Maharaj, any pranami that was given to him that day, he would give it everything to Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And he would, in front of all of his followers, he would say, only by his grace, only by his blessing am I sitting here, am I performing this duty. And he said, we are going everywhere, we are preaching like lions, we are going and spreading the message of Gurudev and Mahaprabhu. But there is one well-known sutra from many Sanskrit grammar books that says, Singhavalokana. And it's one sutra they use to explain simple explanation of how compounds work in Sanskrit. But the general idea is that a lion, although it is the king of the jungle and more or less invincible, still from time to time a lion will look behind as it's walking. It has nothing to fear, but anyhow, it will look behind. Just check who's there as it's walking through the jungle. So, Goswami Maharaj said, we are preaching, we are going out preaching like this. But always we are sometimes looking behind. And why? To see whether Srila Sridhar Maharaj is pleased with our activities. To see whether his support is with us. Whether he approves of our methods. Right? He's blessed by Prabhupada. He's gone to the West. He's so famous. He's the editor of the magazine. He has such a high position. But he's feeling, if my godbrother doesn't approve of what I'm doing, it's not substantial. That type of deference and appreciation for Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And for many years, I don't know how many exactly, maybe 20, maybe more, on this day, Srila Sridhar Maharaj would go to that festival. But lastly, Goswami Maharaj was also considerably older than Srila Sridhar Maharaj, maybe 10, 15 years older. And there was one year when Srila Sridhar Maharaj was ill and wasn't able to attend the festival. And at that time, Goswami Maharaj had also become rather aged. And at the festival that year, Goswami Maharaj said in front of all of his followers, he said, this will be our last festival. How can you say that? And he said, Srila Sridhar Maharaj has not come to bless me, to continue my duty as Acharya. Without his blessings, I cannot do this service. Without the blessings of the higher Vaishnava, I cannot do it. So within this year, I will withdraw. He openly said. And 4 months later, gone. And not only that, we heard from Gurudev, that even, it wasn't like he went on and finally he expired. But from that time, the last few months, he had all his duties, management, organization, guidance, put it all in the hands of whoever was capable, and spent the last few months of his life constantly chanting the name and engaged in private personal meditation. Somebody would just come knock on the door, put a plate of prasadam outside. He just went into what he knew in his heart to be essential. And Gurudev Srila Sridhar says, we were shocked when we got this news. We were so shocked because he was very courageous, very strong. He, in an assembly, he could shine. He was like a public man, so to speak. That he could, upon decision, completely withdraw and extract himself from all of that and meditate like a yogi. We had no idea he had this type of self-control, this type of, composure. right? How Gurudev told one a very heavy story. How audacious and strong could he be? Once there was some court matter pending regarding cases in the Gaudiya Math, and he was very, very strongly arguing in the court. And finally the judge stopped him. Okay, your time is finished. And he kept going. And then eventually said, you're out of order. You can't, you have to be quiet. He kept going. And then his lawyers, other people, they're like, if you continue speaking, you can now be imprisoned. You're defying the order of the judge, right? You can be in contempt of court. And then he's still going. And the judge, he says, this is my last warning. If you do not stop, you're in my jurisdiction in this courtroom, I will, put you in contempt of court. And then Goswami Maharaj says, I am not in the jurisdiction of your court. I am in the jurisdiction of Krishna. I am arguing on his behalf. Your jurisdiction in the face of Krishna's jurisdiction is nothing. I passed urine on the nose of your jurisdiction. He told this in the middle of official courtroom. And he had this type of courage and strong mood. Or another example, when Prabhupada was doing Brajamandal Parikrama, then they came to one place, and one local leader of Brahmins, he made a remark that was very distasteful about Raghunath Das Goswami. There's a sloka found in the Prapana Jivanamrita where Raghunath Das Goswami is praying for mercy. And he prays to receive the mercy of Sri Guru, the Vaishnavas, the Brahmins, the Dham. I don't remember the exact, but a list of many, the divine couple, many things he mentions. 7 or 8 things he mentions. I pray for the mercy of this, this, and this, and this. And on that list is the Brahmins. And I pray for the mercy of the Brahmins. So there was one Brahmin guru in Vrindavan at this time. And when Saraswati Thakur comes with his group, then he remarks, these persons, they revered Das Goswami. They consider Das Goswami the Prayojan Tattva Acharya, the highest, most honorable member of their sampradaya. And not Das Goswami, he prays for our mercy. By our grace, Das Goswami attained this. And Saraswati Thakur could not tolerate this type of statement, right? That some materialistic Brahmin thinks he can bless Raghunath Das Goswami, the highest Vaishnava. But Prabhupada said, if I were just a solo Babaji, I wouldn't think about this, this sort of criticism again. I would just continue my bhajan. When I'm an acharya with 500 people in my association, and I cannot allow this type of statement to go on. I must correct it. I must establish the dignity of Das Goswami in society. So he declared, he gave an order in his camp of 500 pilgrims to stop cooking. We're fasting until this Brahmin takes his word back. And the whole Gaudiya Math, 500 guys, fasting. Gradually, fasting, the heat building up, right? Everybody's getting tense. And then the news comes to these Brahmins. 500 Vaishnavas are fasting because of what you said. Lastly, right, then word comes back. The Brahmins don't immediately back down, so to speak. And then there's, how long is this going to go on? So then, Prabhupada, he sends Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj. He says, you go, talk with them. So as we mentioned here, Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj was born in a very highly respected Brahmin family. And he was also like something like a trophy of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he's a Kayastha by birth. But now he has this highly educated, highly virtuous, widely renowned Brahmin as his disciple. It was a huge, preaching point then. Like one of the trophies of the Gaudiya Math. So he sends Bhakti Saranga Goswami, you go with him. He is also a Brahmin of their stature. So Bhakti Saranga enters the camp of the Brahmins. Very strong, right? First thing he says, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? And he explains what type of Brahmin he is. And then they're like, they have to accept him as like one of theirs, And then he explains that the position, the relationship between the Brahmin and the Vaishnava. And finally, they back down. They retract their sin. And Saraswati Thakur is victorious, right, by the intervention of Bhakti Saranga Goswami. So he, in his last few months, went into seclusion, worship and meditation, and lastly departed. So by his birth, by his education, by his acts, by his character, by his affectionate dealings, by his endeavors for preaching, he was a great proponent of Mahaprabhu's Dharma and the line of Bhakti Siddhanta Bhakti Vinod. Sridhar Maharaj had great appreciation. Gurudev also liked him very much. Right? He said that in his humility, sometimes Gurudev, a couple times we heard him remark, he said, I was a boy, I was like a lice on the head of my Guru Maharaj. I could not understand who he was, how great he was. I could not understand. We were living very closely. Sometimes he is chastising me. Sometimes I am chastising him. We are living together like a family. He's like talking humbly. And he said, but when I would see Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj, who has so many, at that time the Chaitanya Saraswati Math is like, a thatched hut and one cement building and a little temple, one deity, like a small little place. They don't even have a bathroom. They just, they have a trench and you go. They had like that. And at that time, Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj has many temples all over India, his own printing presses, place in Calcutta, like he's like flying high, big man, all of this. And Gurudev would say, when I would see Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj come and sit under our little plastic tarp and go out the back to do his business and then come and massage my Guru Maharaj's feet, and then I got some idea who is Guru Maharaj. That a man of this stature, a great Acharya and Vaishnava like him, that he comes and has such appreciation and desire to serve my Guru Maharaj, then I am like feeling so great, I'm feeling so fortunate. And he said one time, Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj, to encourage him and support him, he said, maybe some difficulty was going on, but he said, you have nothing to worry about in this life. The Gurudev was a boy. He said, there may be a flood and many things may be washed away, but you are tied to one very big tree. You will never be lost. Like, you have connection with such a great Guru, you will cross over any possible adversity. Just as in the flood so many things die, but some huge banyan trees, certain things, they always live. So he was very dear to both Srila Gurudev and Srila Guru Maharaj, and a great exemplary member of the Gaudiya Sampradaya. Okay, well, that's what I have to say. Praise the Lord today.